Oh, I forgot I didn't have a transition on. Hello, everybody. I wasn't ready for just hard cut face. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pleasantly Positive Show, where we take a look back on our week and just highlight some of the moments that brought us some positivity, no matter how big or small. As well as we're going to go over some good news stories in a segment I like to call Positive Press. I am your host, Savvy, and with me today, I have Titanium TV slash Tyler. Tyler, hello, how are you?
Yo, how goes everybody?
It it goes. I think I was telling you before we started the show. I woke up very late today. Went to bed also very late. So
That's fair. I was up a little late. I was watching Elimination Chamber from WWE, so
ooh,
I just
okay.
kept watching it, and I was like, I'll probably not finish this. There's about like 2 hours left of it, and then 2 hours later, I'm like, well, I guess I finished it. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. I gotta get up in like 6 hours.
Yeah, Elimination Chamber. Which one is because like I remember Money in the Bank. Of course, I haven't watched WWE in so long. Chamber. Which one is that?
Elimination Chamber is the one where it's like there's six wrestlers that it's like the giant cage. It's not Hell in a Cell and it's not a steel cage, but it's like a
Yeah.
giant like octagon kind of almost shape, and there's like six wrestlers. Two of them start in the center together,
Uh
and then
huh.
periodically, randomly, the other four will get put into the thing, and like their pods open, and then they just come out swinging and everything like that.
Okay. Alrighty. All
I
right,
just
man.
started
Yeah.
getting back into WWE like I want to say in like December, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna
It.
start watching like the pay-per-views because they're all on Peacock. So I was like, I'll just get a
Ooh,
Peacock
I have
subscription.
Peacock. Yeah.
Yeah.
What? So it's worth watching now. I feel like there was a point where it kind of was like not worth watching. I don't know.
Yeah.
I saw it when I was a kid, and I don't know if I just grew out of it, and then I would just every once in a while I'd see in the news like this wrestler did this and this wrestler did this, and so I just kind of stopped. I think I just phased out of it for a little bit.
Yeah, I think they're going through more of a like a resurgence now
Mm-hmm.
again. Because I mean, for most of its lifespan, it was run by the person who shall not be named anymore because he's a piece of garbage and has a lot of sexual assault charges against him.
Yeah.
Um, but it kind of like is like a Phoenix rebirth essentially now. Because Triple H, the one of like the main chief content or the chief content officer of the whole company,
he's the
um,
chief. He's the chief content officer now.
yeah, and
Wow. Okay.
he's the main head of creative too. So it's like they put a wrestler in to know what people want out of a wrestling match, and like what people want is like a story now. So like this past year alone, everybody's been like, this is a completely different WWE than anybody else has really seen in the past like 20 years essentially.
Okay.
And they're like, it's good. It's
It's
good. It's
probably
just
it's
really good
probably been close
storytelling.
to 20 years since I've watched it.
Yeah, I would
So
say
I
so.
will. I think back when I think he might be questionable, but back when I was a kid, I don't know what he's done since then. I really like Jeff Hardy and the Hardy
Ooh,
Brothers.
yeah.
And I remember he used to wear like the arm sleeve kind of things, and he'd be like yeah to whatever his intro was, and I as a kid I was
Still
like
does.
yeah.
I think he's
He's still doing
I
it.
I think he's on AEW now, which is
Oh,
like
okay.
the main competing one. It's like TNA, AEW, New Japan, WWE, and then Ring of Honor. I think are like the main five, but like WWE and like AEW are the two that are like really butting heads all the time.
Okay.
But I think Jeff's on AEW if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Alrighty.
I'm just a filthy casual though, so I'll just watch WWE. I don't really want to like get into like the whole like I don't know what's going on AEW. We'll just leave them to their own
I think
devices.
AEW was always kind of the like if you're into that, that's the one that you're watching. But I think
Yeah.
at WWE at www dot WWE dot com.
www.wwe.com.
You know, I think that's always been the mainstream one for the most part.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, that's the one that I always fall back into every so often. Like I like you, I watched it a lot when I was a kid, and
mhm.
then just completely cut it like cold turkey until like 2015, 2016. I started watching it again, and then but it was mostly like nostalgia. That's when they had like the WWE network, and I was like watching like old wrestling matches that I like remember from yesteryear and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't really paying attention to like the main stuff that was going on. But now I'm actually like kind of going back into it and being like, okay, I'm following storylines. I'm not watching weekly like the Raw or SmackDown or anything. I'm just watching like the pay-per-views and then or the premium live events, whatever they want to call them now, and
Mm-hmm.
then just like kind of catching up via like social media and videos and stuff afterwards.
Okay. Well, I'll definitely have to go give it a try again.
If you
Because
like
it's been,
just
especially
sweaty
since I know it's
men
on
and
Peacock.
yeah, if you like just sweaty, muscular men and muscly women just beating the crap out of each other, it's very good.
Sounds right up my alley. That's
it's,
yeah.
it's very good.
Well,
I
heck
also
yeah.
actually really like sidebar tangent about it. I actually really love that they have made like the women's like division of WWE like 40 times better than it ever was. Like
Yeah.
it's
No,
actually good wrestling now, and I'm like, holy shit, that's amazing.
I think I hear more about the women's side than I do the men's, to be honest. And so yeah, that is awesome. That is awesome because yeah, I remember
Yeah.
I feel like growing up as a kid, I didn't really. But
Oh
again,
yeah.
I
It was always objectifying,
yeah,
like
exactly,
previously.
exactly. So well, heck yeah, that was a good little, a good little WWE wrestling tangent there.
I'll talk about WWE.
Oh man, I did not expect that to go there. So I love it. I love it. So I did when I was reaching out to you about this. I did mention how I wanted to talk about our morning beverages of choice. Did you happen to make yourself anything
Yes.
for
Not
the
only do I have
morning?
water,
Ooh,
but I also made coffee.
nice. What do you put in your coffee?
Ooh, yeah, as you can see, it is pretty creamy and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I actually just ended up putting just like a simple sugar-free um, creamer in it because I do like sugar and cream in my coffee.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people will be like, "Oh no, you should have it black, or you should just if you put something in it, it's only cream." But I'm just like, don't gatekeep me.
No, yeah, I was
I'm drinking
don't.
my coffee the way I like it.
Yeah, let me enjoy my coffee. Yeah,
Yeah.
I made a coffee this morning as well, and it's pretty. It's kind of hard to get on this camera. I think you might be able to see it a little bit better.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I do just a basic powdered creamer, because lactose intolerant, and then I just do a little bit of sweet and low, because I don't like to. I like it sweet, and it's a problem. So if I do real sugar, I end up putting like way too much, or if I do a syrup, it's way too much. So I found just like a
Oh yeah.
single packet of sweet and low kind of gets the taste buds like this is acceptable, you know,
Yeah.
like it's sweet and like it's better for you, I guess. I'm not sure, but
I mean, I guess it's like anything in moderation is going to be okay. Really, I think like even if you have sugar, if you're having just it in moderation, you should be all good.
yeah, I when I worked at Starbucks, I had a friend, and she would order a Trenta. I want to say it was a Trenta iced coffee with 12 packets of Splenda and 3 packets of stevia in it.
God,
And again, I'm not here to judge anybody's coffee, but yeah,
that's a lot.
that's a lot. I mean, I just feel like 1 packet of Splenda personally is a lot.
Yeah.
And so putting 12 in there, I mean, does it taste like
Yee.
anything at that point?
Yee. That's so true. Um, I always forget that you worked at Starbucks because I also worked at Starbucks, and
Mm-hmm.
anytime that I talk about Starbucks, I'm just like, oh yeah, those days. Like I
Mm-hmm.
just one of my friends just recently started working as a shift supervisor at Starbucks, and he got hired on as a shift supervisor, so he's learning all the stuff again, and I'm just like, oh yeah,
Ah.
do you like? I was like, do you I kept making the joke about being like you're gonna hear the paper tearing sound and they're gonna
Oh.
tell you about the paper tearing
Yep,
sound when
yep,
you go to
for when
steam
you're
milk.
foaming the milk, yep.
And so when he texted me like the day he learned that, and he was just like, I heard the paper tearing sound, and I was like, I told you they would say it, they would mention it
Yep,
so much.
that's
It's so funny.
when I was training, that's exactly what I'm like. You're gonna want to listen to for because that's how I was taught was the paper tear.
The paper tearing sound you're gonna hear for 1 to 3 seconds for a
A
latte
latte
and three to
and
six seconds for a
for a
cappuccino.
cappuccino. Yep, yep. Those are the good old days. I think my largest amount of work experience is with Starbucks, actually split between a Target cafe and a standalone
Hmm.
restaurant. So I think overall that's where most of my work experience lies is with Starbucks. And I actually really enjoyed all of my Starbucks experience. I left for my own reasons, but it typically didn't have to do with the company, I'd say.
Hmm.
Just my own ambitions, really, or more of like a people side of things more than like Starbucks side of things, because like it's really nice getting to connect with people. I think the human aspect of the job was the most pleasant part of it. Was just
Oh yeah.
your what do they call them? Your partners. Is that what they were called at Starbucks? I think it was your partners as well as
Like
the
your
guests.
coworkers or
Yeah. I think they called coworkers
oh.
your partner. You know.
I would probably say yes. I'm not really quite sure though. I worked 90% of the time in a well, actually I would say like 98% of the time in a Safeway kiosk. Um
Is that a gas station?
so
I don't know what Safeway is.
no, like well, oh sorry, yeah. I always forget that Safeway is mostly a Pacific Northwest thing. If you have like Vons or Albertsons or
No.
crap, I forgot. They're just like a run of the mill kind of grocery store.
Okay. Okay.
So just like whatever you think of like your sort of
Here,
like middle
here we have
ground,
like
not like
Kroger, Publix, if that rings any
that
bells.
might actually be Publix. They have a buttload of different ones under their belts, but it's like
Shell
Safeway
companies.
shell companies. Yeah. A bunch of shills. Kroger is like Fred Meyer for us because that's owned by Kroger brand stuff like that. So not so much like that department store esque, like you can go there and buy furniture. It's just like groceries essentially.
True. Okay. I know when I was living in the Northeast, there was Hannaford's. I don't know
Oh, I've
if
heard
they
of
have. I don't.
Hannaford's.
Yeah, I say you may have heard it because I down like Virginia and down south Hannaford just doesn't even have a presence at all. I think it cuts
Yeah.
off at like Pennsylvania. I don't know how far out west it goes, but I also don't know
Yeah.
where you've traveled. So,
Yeah.
but
I
that's
know like
the only
California is Vons for like Safeway, and it's really funny because I walked into a
Vons.
Vons one time down in California, and it was like just walking into a Safeway. I was like, oh, this is Safeway. Oh,
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting this.
Yeah, when between like in Virginia it's Kroger, and then down here
Mhm.
it's Publix. And I remember going because I grew up in Virginia for 17 years, and then when I moved to Florida, I went into Publix and I was like, "This is a green Kroger," because Kroger's I
Just
think
a
is like
different shade
blue.
of Kroger.
Yeah, it's just a different shade of Kroger.
That's hilarious. I love that.
And I love that. I love that stores kind of all have that same, like the I guess like Target market. Like I don't like same vibe. Like I don't like you go to Target and it's like a direct competitor with Walmart, and
Hmm.
so I love that the mid tier, what I would consider like mid tier stores, they have their, oh, this is like the Publix, this is like a Vons kind of thing.
Yeah,
And
they're
when you
all
go
like
into
similar across the entire nation, but like for some reason they just decided not to do the same name, and I
Mhm.
never really understood that. I guess that makes them feel quote unquote, I guess, small comparatively to like the community,
Maybe
but
I do think people have like a sense of pride over their like I know Floridians have a strong sense of pride over Publix, and
yeah.
like Publix is our store, and maybe who knows, maybe Kroger owns Publix, but they don't want you to know that or something like that, you know.
Yeah, I kind of think it's the same way with like Albertsons Safeways too, because like in the Pacific Northwest, we had both Albertsons and Safeways, and then when Albertsons bought the Safeway brand,
Hmm.
they basically closed down any stores that were in like a 5 mile radius of each other. So if like there's an Albertsons in one area and like a Safeway like super close by, they'd be like, okay, which one gets more traffic? Oh, the Safeway does. We're gonna close down the Albertsons, and then basically it'll just be Safeway from that point on.
Hmm. Okay. I'm
It was
curious
interesting.
because do you know Aldi? Do you have Aldi where you are or
I
anywhere
don't think
near?
so.
It's
No.
like the German food store kind of. Wow,
Yeah.
I'm probably surprised they're must just have East Coast presence right now, but they're expanding a lot, so that surprises me. They started in Germany and now they're here. I worked there for a year and a half, and they just recently bought Winn Dixie, which
Oh wow.
you do know Winn Dixie, right?
I do know Winn Dixie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they just bought out Winn Dixie. So now when you go into a
Wow.
Winn
Okay.
Dixie, that's owned by Aldi. And
Hmm.
I talked to an Aldi district manager. This is after I'd already left. But they were saying that they might be converting some locations from Winn Dixie's to Aldi's, and Aldi's famously don't have delis while Winn
Hmm.
Dixie's do. So I wonder if this is Aldi trying to creep into like the, again, kind of that mid-range, almost hybrid between like a big store, restaurant, and just your little grocery store kind of thing.
Yeah, instead of like your run of the mill ma and pa
Mm-hmm.
German store, I guess
Yeah,
essentially.
because they still have that vibe, even though they're quickly growing into like one of the largest grocery chains, at least in the East Coast.
Hmm.
It's quickly. It still has that mom and pop kind of vibe, but I think it's quickly growing beyond that. You know.
Yeah.
But we are so I don't want to say off topic, but I just love where this is. I just love where this has been going.
It's almost
Uh,
like a Trader Joe's. We have Trader Joe's
it's
here,
owned.
which
They were owned originally by the same.
oh
Uh,
really? Okay.
yeah, Trader Joe's is actually owned by I believe Aldi North, and Aldi's is owned by Aldi
Oh,
South.
well
Uh,
then we have
yeah,
Trader Joe's here. We don't have a single Aldi. I just searched it right now and I was like, oh, no Aldis.
yeah. I'm pretty sure they were either owned by the same company at once, or I think they were just brothers, like
Oh, okay.
the two original owners. Um, but yeah, alrighty. Well, so we do have segments of the show, and the one that I think I'm the most excited about is like what I want to call the weekly look back. I'm sure that name will go through many iterations, but the premise of it is just kind of taking a look back on your week, pinpointing small or big moments that you otherwise maybe wouldn't have thought about that just brought you like so just a little bit of joy or positivity, just brightened up your day, even if it's just like a hi, and you never get a hi to by a stranger before, just that kind of thing. That's what we're going for. And
Yeah.
yeah, and I had asked you to kind of make a note of when things happened throughout your week, and I was if you'd like to, bring some of those up, that'd
Yeah, sure.
be great.
Absolutely. I actually wrote them down in a journal so I could remember them at a later point because things get forgotten a lot in my head.
Yep, no worries.
Um, let's see. Well, I guess like kind of the biggest one that I would like that I think we could probably talk about. Not to like bring up other podcasts during a different podcast, but
Please, you've been the podcast man this week. Please.
this week I've been podcast man because back on Thursday I was on a personal friend of mine's Twitch channel for a show called Trav Talks,
Mm-hmm.
which is like a mental health kind of podcast. We focus just kind of like a lot about talking about like past, talking about presents, talking about future. Um, yeah, I think that was probably like my most genuine positive interaction this week so far, and it's the one that I came out of feeling the most joy, even
Mm-hmm.
though like the conversation topics and everything that we were going on about were pretty heavy, and especially like delved into a lot of my like past and stuff like that. I felt coming out of it like a sense of like new, not necessarily new beginning, but new beginning is the only thing I can really think of for it. And it sensed like a lot of joy after having that conversation, and I just felt like a lot more open with a lot of myself, and also like getting to know Trav a little bit better because I haven't
Yeah.
really like talked to him that in depth in a while. So I think those kind of things really were just like a nice change of pace for me, essentially.
Mm-hmm. No, I actually did tune into that, and I think I mentioned on my stream the other night how when you were streaming that, I think I was just working on my computer, and I have like two monitors. I have the main one, and then I have this one on the side, and I had you on the side while I was working, and just after like the first 10 minutes, my gaze just slowly just locked on to you guys, and you guys were you guys were talking about some very heavy topics, but it was all very interesting and very engaging, and I had a good time watching it. So that's probably something, just his show in general, something I will probably tune back into more, and it made me excited to have you on the show as well. So
Yeah.
but
No, it
no,
actually gave me a
and
lot of confidence too. That was one of the really nice things because that whole day I was just a nervous ball of energy. Essentially, I
mhm,
was just like, I don't really know where to put this energy. I'm just being nervous the whole time, and I told Trav I think like four times before we even started, like just in our little like quick meetup right beforehand, and he was just like, "It's gonna be fine. We're just gonna be chatting. That's all it's gonna be. It's gonna be low stakes. Everything's all
mhm,
good." He's a therapist by trade, so he kind of knows how to like do those kind of like calming people
calm,
down when they're like
uh-huh,
nervous for like a therapist conversation.
crisis management.
I guess so. Essentially, crisis management is a good term for it. Actually, that works really well. And yeah,
Yeah.
he was just like, yeah, no, well, like everything's gonna be good. It's just gonna be a conversation. And then as soon as I realized that, I think it was probably maybe like 5-10 minutes into it, like it was just gonna be a conversation. I didn't even like, I don't think looked at chat like that much at all during it because
Mm.
I had his stream up just kind of like how I have your stream up. Um, but like once the conversation started flowing, it was just like, oh yeah, that's right. We're also live right now. I
Yeah,
keep
yeah, we're on
forgetting
a
that.
show right now. We're on a
So it's like,
podcast. Yeah.
yeah, but it was nice. It was
Well, heck
super
yeah.
super needed. I think my own brain needed that because I definitely was getting a little bit in my head these past couple of weeks. I think with a lot of stuff, I was just kind of getting overwhelmed with things. So
Hmm.
having a moment just to have a nice, just a chit chat, essentially, like similar with this as well. I am absolutely digging this as well.
Yeah, that, me too, and I'm all here for it. So yeah, I'm glad to I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, I enjoyed watching. I'm glad you had a good time. Seemed like you really needed it. So yeah, maybe we can go like, I don't know, back and forth between like, I don't know if you wrote more down.
Yeah,
We can just trade off, I guess.
yeah. Go ahead
Um,
and hit me up. Let's hear what you got. What happened in your week?
yeah. So I would say the big one that kind of really stuck with me for the week was Monday. My mom, she had called out of work sick. She's just on like a new medication and she just didn't react well to it. But
Hmm.
it made me realize something really important about routine, and at least a routine in my life is she wakes up earlier than me every day to get ready for work, and I usually drive her to work every day. Uh, I crashed my car like a while back, and I just haven't been able to get a new one since. And so we split car use, and I drive her to work, and then I go do my job.
Hmm.
But it made me realize something when she called out. You know, she didn't get up for work, uh, or get ready for work or anything like that. And but she does this thing every morning where she closes my door because I usually sleep with my door open. If not, is Pineapple still? Yeah, Pineapple. She will just go crazy, as well as she's blow drying her hair and everything. That's really loud. So she makes time to close my door,
Hmm.
and as well as she's usually my alarm clock for the morning.
Oh, yeah.
And so she's like, "All right, Saving, time to get up." She gives me some time to get up before it's time to leave the house. And though she wasn't my alarm clock that day, she still found time to get up and close my door, which I thought
Hmm.
was very sweet because I guess she
Yeah.
was still kind of rummaging around the house even though she didn't feel good. And so when I woke up, I was in a panic because it was like 11. I was like, "Oh dear God, I missed work. Did Mom go to work? Like, what's
Yeah.
going on?" And I looked out my door and I look in her room and she's in bed sleeping. And I was like, "Wow, maybe I need to like just start setting an alarm, anyways." But it when I was in the car with her, it just made me realize like, wow, like you do this nice little thing for me every morning that's like really easy to take for granted. The fact
Yeah.
that you kind of get me up on time every day. And it also just got me thinking about how she does take that effort to close my door every morning, and it's something I don't ever really think about. I just kind of wake up, put my clothes on, then walk out the door. And
Yeah.
I don't it was just kind of a sweet thought that me and my mom were I grew up with her my entire life. Her and my dad, they never really got together, and once they split up, I'm a mama's boy, basically, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're also not like super close in terms of like we don't really eat dinner together. Like we'll go out to eat once in a blue moon, but like we're just not like we're just like the hey, maybe chat about our days really quick and then go do our own thing. And
Hmm.
I think just some of the small things that she does, it kind of just made me realize like I think that's like her way of like showing love, like her love language a little bit. It's just like this small little, I wouldn't really think about it kind of thing. Maybe she
Yeah,
closes
like
my
the,
door every
the
day, and
little
that's
small things. Yeah.
yeah, and it's just like and like when I reflected on, it, it's like wow, that's like actually her kind of like thinking, like being considerate about being considerate about me, and like I'm sure if I were to wake up to her hair dryer, I'd be really pissed,
That's fair.
and I'd be like, "What are you doing? I'm trying to sleep here.
Yeah, that is fair. That is
I'm
fair.
sleeping here," and I don't know. So it was just a nice little thought that I had Monday morning, and just throughout the week, I was kind of thinking about it, and now ever since then, I've been relying on my alarm to wake me up instead of her, and yeah, I don't know.
Hmm.
It was just nice to kind of have that moment, and
Yeah,
she is better now. She's feeling
that's
much
good.
better now. So
That is good. That is good. Now, was your mom the when you were growing up and stuff like that? Did your mom do similar things when you were growing up and everything, or was it more of like a after you moved out and then like moved back, she started kind of incorporating those things back into the
I
daily
feel like
routine.
I feel like she's probably always done small little things like that. I can't think about anything too specific as I've gotten older. I'm gonna call both of us out here, my mom and I. So I was a sneaky little liar growing up as a kid. Like, let's say if I yeah, let's say if I
Sneaking
wanted
out and
to,
stuff.
uh, a little bit. Like if I wanted to skip school, or if I wanted to play my Xbox, even though I was grounded from it, she she wasn't all about the grounding and everything. Like if I didn't do my homework, she didn't really care about grounding me. But
Hmm.
her boyfriend at the time, which I kind of look at as like a stepdad now. That's how close we were because I grew up with him since like I want to say fourth to high school graduation, basically
Hmm.
fourth grade to high school graduation. Um, but they never got married and they're split up now. But I kind of see him as like a fatherly figure.
Yeah,
But
that's
he
fair.
was but when I was first growing up, he like I he had never had a kid, and so he was kind of rough around the edges in terms of like discipline and whatnot.
Hmm.
And so whenever like I wanted to skip school, my mom was just kind of like, I was like, Mom, can you tell Daniel that like, can you tell him this or this, just so like I don't get in trouble, or tell him that I like got off of school early because of this. So if I'm home when he's home, this is why. And she would just be like, yeah, yeah, I'll tell him, or
Oh.
or like if I really wanted to play, this is like during Black Ops 2 when Black Ops 2 was released.
Oh yeah.
I I I probably have like a year's worth of hours into that game,
Oh,
and
me too.
yeah, and
Trust.
and any time that I got caught playing it or I had the controller, my mom would be like, "Oh, I gave him the controller," when she knows I stole it, from wherever he was
Mm.
hiding it. Or I would go to my friend's house and grab his controller and connect it to my Xbox.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, because the only punishment that her boyfriend knew at the time was just taking the controller. I don't think he knew that I
Hmm.
had more or that I could acquire more.
Yeah.
And she would always like she would just kind of take the fall for whatever I was going through, or she'd help me come up with a lie, or if like I had a she was like the mom, I need you to tell my friend that I can't come over tonight. And she's like, what do you want me to say?
Then you have like 18 controllers, and everybody's
Yeah.
just like, "Yeah, Savvy's got like 15 controllers. Let's go over to his place."
Yeah. I probably could have had like the largest LAN party in my house if I wanted to.
Bring over your Xbox. We'll just plug it in.
Hmm.
It'll be good.
Yeah. So in terms like, I'm, I'm sure all the other stuff that the average kid would take for granted from their parent, I'm sure she did. Um, but like in terms of like something that stands out, I would say that not that that's necessarily the best thing because she was helping me lie.
Yeah.
But in terms of just her looking out for her kid, she
Well, it's
because she easily could have been like, no, he stole the controller, you're grounded, bad kid kind of
yeah,
thing. But that just
yeah.
wasn't her. That wasn't her vibe.
That happens. That happens quite frequently, and it is a thing with like. I don't want to necessarily say it is a thing with divorced parents, but it is kind of a thing with divorced parents where it's like the kid who goes with the particular parent. Uh, it seems like it always seems like it's like a we're in this together kind of a thing, and just like I got your back, you got my back in a way.
Yeah. No, yeah, I like that dynamic, and I think we've probably kind of always grown up with that dynamic ever since. Because I can't remember when her and my dad were together. I was so little,
Hmm.
and they split apart when I was so little. So I do think we've always kind of had that dynamic with each other a little bit,
Yeah.
and even when we kind of like I don't want to say grew apart, but when I moved away, when I finally moved out, um, we still had that like I'm here for you, and you're here for me mentality. So,
Hmm.
and that was always something nice to have. Like I could not talk to her for months, and then she would just give me a call. She'd be like, "Hey, like," and this is something that I really appreciate. She would come to me for like mental health. I don't want to say advice, but
Hmm.
just comfort whenever she's going through something rough. She'd just be like,
Yeah.
I just need you to talk to me," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm here for you." And she would always do the same for me if I was going through something really difficult. So,
Yeah. My mom is very, very similar as well, and it definitely was one of those things when after I moved out, she like kept they want to keep like their distance because they're like, oh, it's time for you to go into adulthood. It's time for you to like start your own life and do your own stuff and figure out who you want to be kind of like as a person. And
mm-hmm.
I think I don't really know if I don't know if your mom, and I don't want to speak about for your mom or my mom or anything like that. I'm sure it's like a subconscious thing. They're just like, my baby's out of the nest now. I'm gonna let them flutter and
If he
fly
hits
or
the
whatever.
ground, he hits the ground. No.
He hits the ground. I'll be there if he needs
Yeah,
me.
I'll be there. I'll
Whatever's
fly
either.
down and
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's like one of those things. It's like even if you move back in, because I moved back in with my parents for I think like a good couple of summers and maybe like something like that. I don't remember, a few months here and there. And it was the same thing where it was just like I remember those my parents used to kind of do the same thing when I was growing up. Like they would be kind of like my alarm clock in the morning. They would do small things like that for me. And it was a little bit more direct when I was younger, but then when I moved back in, they would do smaller things. They would just like I don't even know. I don't even
It's just
remember
very
at all.
subtle, kind of like under the radar, like.
Yeah, under the radar. They wouldn't mention it. They wouldn't say
Hmm.
anything about it. It would just kind of like I would notice these things and I'd be like, "Oh, that's really really sweet of them to do." But I think they wanted to take more of like a step back and being like, "We're not directly doing things for your life or anything like that. We're letting you figure things out,
Hmm.
but we're still your parents and we're still gonna help essentially and do the small little things for you."
Yeah. I do like the my mom, she does these little gestures where I tell her not to buy me like sweets and chips because I'm in this boat where like I'm really good at not spending money on junk food, but if it is
Uh-huh.
presented to me, I will just gobble it all up.
Oh yeah.
And so I've kind of like made a rule with her because she will like go out of her way like buy me cake and candy and chips and stuff, and I'm like, Mom, I love you and I appreciate it, but I like you gotta stop buying me a dozen donuts from Dunkin' just because you had like a little coupon. Like it's so sweet and I'm gonna eat them all and I appreciate it, but like
Yeah.
you gotta stop. But every
You
once in a while,
gotta
like
not.
yeah, but like every once like every like I would say like once every 2 weeks, uh, I'll just I'll just walk out of my room and then there's a bag of hot fries sitting there and I'm like, okay.
Mm, I kind of want that though.
it's like it's like it's so hard to be mad like right now because I
You
love
can't be
this.
mad. Yeah.
Yeah.
When it comes to food, you just can't be mad. Like
Yeah. No,
so it's
it's
so bad. I
mm-hmm.
love it.
And she'll do that or like when I go into her job, I like to help out around her office and I'll just see that there's a Kit Kat bar there and I'm like,
Mm.
there goes all that. There goes that little jog I did earlier. Still gonna eat it though.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
heck
I
yeah.
love that though.
Yeah. Did you have anything else on your list that you wanted to
Um,
knock off really quick, or was the show kind of it for you? If it is, that's perfectly fine.
the show was definitely like the biggest highlight that I would say. Um, I think like the other kind of major highlight that I had with a really nice like positive like outcome essentially was like
Hmm.
last weekend actually. I think it was Sunday, since I had Monday off from work, and a couple of my friends had or Monday off from work as well. They were like, "Do you mind if we like come over and like we're just come out to like play like board games and like make some dinner and stuff like that?" And
Hmm.
both Alex and I were just like, "Oh heck yeah! Like come on over and we're gonna hang out." We ended up staying up until like 5 or 6 in the morning, I want to
Oof.
say, um, because like at first, like obviously we were doing a little bit of drinking and having dinner. We all made like dinner together, essentially played some
Hmm.
board games, and then like for like the last like I want to say like 6 hours of the night, so like from midnight to 6 a.m. in the morning, it was just like us chatting for like just about random crap. It
Uh huh.
would not even anything like important, but it was just like nice to be like sort of like catch up. Like we talked to them pretty frequently and we played games on Discord all the time, but like it was just nice to just kind of have like a what's going on in your world? What's going on in your world? What's going on in your world kind of a thing. And it was just like this is really really nice to just kind of actually chat for once and not just be like under the guise of a game essentially and like have
Yeah.
something that's like dictating the narrator or something.
Hmm.
So it was just nice to be like, "Oh yeah, let's actually just talk like we're normal people." It kind of felt like not necessarily no time had passed, but it felt like it was more of just like a oh we actually have not had this sort of a thing in so long, like in person at all. Like
Hmm.
it was just really nice to like have those kind of conversations again for once because so many
I
things have like kind of fallen by the wayside during like the virtual days of the pandemic and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love moments like that because it kind of feels like you're not necessarily like again like no time is passing, but it's like you're in your own little box. It's just y'all. You're not worried about. It's like you're like the only like almost like the only people in the world at that
Yeah.
moment, and it's just really nice to have those get-togethers because yeah, I think
Yeah.
as you get older, those moments stop happening. At
Hmm.
least at least in my life, and I know a lot of people in my life, they you kind of do lose those big get-togethers. Like, oh, we're go and hang out with Kyle and go use his dad's foosball table. Like that doesn't really happen anymore.
Yeah, not really.
Kind of thing.
And especially because it was like an impromptu thing. Like they just had texted us at like noon that day, and they were like, "We don't have anything going on tonight or tomorrow. Like, do you guys want to hang out? Like, we'll spend the night if we need to. If they get like a little too drunk or anything like that." They ended
Mm-hmm.
up sobering up after a few, because it was just like we were just sitting there chatting for like so long that none of us were really drinking. We were just all just drinking water at that point, and we're like, "Oh, okay, everybody's sober now.
Yeah.
Let's go back to our own beds," essentially. But yeah, it was just like all impromptu, and we were just it was nice. It, like you said, it was really just like a nothing really else existed except for like that one moment, because that's how like we kind of all forgot that it was like 6 in the morning. We were like, we gotta go to bed. It is so late.
Mm-hmm. I feel like those kind of moments are if you've ever seen The Office, where Andy he says, "I wish you know you're in the good days before they pass." And I always
Mm.
feel like for me personally that those moments with just your friends and it's just y'all and it's just nothing but good times. Like that's I feel like those are like the good day moments that you kind of look back
Oh
on like,
yeah.
oh man, it was just so great just to have all of us together, just bantering, having fun, playing some board games, and just being great humans
Yeah,
to each
just
other.
being honest to God humans. That's all. That's all it really was, and it was just
Just
nice to know that we can still do that.
yeah, because I don't know. Sometimes I feel like you get so caught up in daily life, it doesn't feel like you're a person. You're just like a cog in the in the daily machine.
Yeah,
Sometimes,
so
so
true.
well, heck yeah. I don't. I have like more on my list, but it's we are we are getting not too late into the show, but I will say I did have this one nice little interaction where I jog around my neighborhood almost every day,
Hmm.
and I probably don't look very friendly. I I probably look very, like I'm very standoffish. Anytime there's somebody walking, I go on the opposite side of the street to just give them as much room as I can. If there's
Hmm.
people getting in and out of their cars, I again go on the opposite side of the the street to just like your space is your space, mine is mine. So I probably don't look very approachable. But as I was running, there was this Uber driver who I had made one pass by him as he was circling our neighborhood because our neighborhood's one big circle. I had
Hmm.
passed him two times before he ever left, and then as he was about to leave, I was passing him a third time, and I saw him rolling down his window, staring at me, and I was like, "It looks like he's about to
Hmm.
talk to me." And so I,
He's
you
like,
know, I
oh
stopped.
no, here we go.
Yeah, yeah, and he was just like, "You are just like you're just like zipping and zooming. This is like the third time you've gone by. I need legs like yours." And it's just kind of like that awkward, like, "Oh, like yeah, I gotta get the workout
Thanks.
in." Yeah, yeah. I was just like, "Gotta get the workout in." He was like, "Man, yeah, I hit the gym for the first time the other night, and I'm feeling it." And I was like, "Well, yeah, you gotta get it out the way." Like I'm very terrible with those really sudden
Yeah, those like
interactions with
interactions
strangers.
like that. Yeah.
But it was really nice because I don't ever have anybody talk to me on my run, which is by design for me. But it was kind of nice to get that quick interruption, and I didn't mind it at all. So yeah, that was just a small little moment in my day where
Yeah.
it was like, oh, nice.
See, this is what I like about like walking my dog and stuff like that, because I'm very similar where I try to like I'll go on like the other side of the street to give people a lot of like breath, and just like so that way I'm not really super communicative with like
Hmm.
people on the street. But when I have my dog, I don't necessarily do that too much, because I'm okay, and like I love those like little bits where I'm just like, oh hey, have a good day, kind of a thing, where it's just like a quick little like snippet, and then I'm like on my way. And with a dog, I'm just like, yeah, it is those quick things where it's like, thanks, have a good like, hello, how are you, or whatever, and then like the dog is just like still going, and I'm like, gotta go.
Yep. I'm being commanded.
That's my social anxiety, but I do enjoy those like little interactions like that sometimes, where it's just like, especially ones like those where it is kind of takes you out a little bit for a second, and it's just like
Hmm.
I wasn't expecting this today.
Yeah.
Why do I feel so warm and fuzzy from this though? This is really nice.
Yep. As I was running, I was just gonna keep my run going, and I was like, wait, that was like, oh, I really like that. Oh, oh, I gotta write that down.
Let me. Where's a piece of paper? Give me a piece of paper.
Somebody, does anybody have paper?
Paper, please.
Please. Well,
You just run
yeah.
back to the dude. Do you have any paper on you?
Do you have any
Like,
paper? He's like, okay, get away from my car.
He's like, oh god, this is not what I meant by this interaction.
Yeah. I didn't know we were becoming friends. Ah.
Oh, I love that though. That's such a nice like, just. I mean, sort of similar to like my story as well. It's just like a nice like human thing,
Yeah.
right? Like
That I feel like you don't get often now, or,
No.
or at least I might take for granted more than I realize.
yeah,
Like
I think
just
that
like
is one of those
store
things.
aisle interactions as
Mhm.
well. It's like, oh, have you
Yeah.
used that before? That's like the most generic one.
Have
Like,
you used that before?
yeah, have you used that shampoo? Is it really 3-in-1?
Is it really good with dandruff? I need
Yeah.
to know. I got some
I do-
dandruff.
I need to know. Is that really work on lice? Because
Oh god.
yeah, you're getting
Oh,
all
no.
close up to them. Does that work on lice?
Yeah, you want to check this out for me? You want to squeeze just a little bit of my hair and see if it works?
Yeah, I got this comb. Can you just? Yeah. You know what? You know what? I'm just. No. Go. You go. You go. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say like it is just nice to have like those like little bits of moments where it's like, humanity is still pretty okay. Like
Yeah.
humanity is still pretty good. There's a lot of shitty things in the world, and humans do a lot of shitty things, but there are those little bits where it's just like people are just nice.
Yeah. There's
Like,
hope.
to their core. There's a good majority of people are just nice.
Yeah. I think the the it's terrible vocabulary, but the bad in the world. I think it's very loud, and it's always being
Yeah.
pushed to our face by the news. And this could be a perfect segue into our next segment, but I'm not going to segue.
Ooh. I like what you're doing.
Yeah, but it's so I think people it's hard to overlook the good, especially just with the stress in your own life that's going
Yeah.
on. So when you see it, you're just kind of like, if it's not happening to you directly, you're just kind of like, my bills or something. But
Let me
it but
focus on my thing over here.
yeah, but like I think positivity and just the goodness of mankind is there, and it's at scale. You just have to either find it, or you have to be looking for it, and you have to want to see it. Like you have to have like it's a mindset for sure
Oh yeah.
of being able to see it, unless you're like constantly like, unless you work for a charity or something. I don't
Yeah.
know. I feel like it's definitely something that you have to be on like the lookout for, and not even like, and I'm sure if you were, you'd be noticing it like almost every second of every day, just small things. But yeah. Okay, what I was gonna mention really quick was
Mhm.
we have the same beanie. I'm gonna show you.
Oh shit. Oh snap.
Where's
The
it
same
at?
beanie.
Okay, it's not this. I do have that color, but I have the same brand. There, okay.
Ah,
I'll put it
yeah,
up.
yeah,
I'll put it
yeah.
up to you. I'll put it up to your camera. But we have the same. I have that color. I think I lost that color somewhere in my room. But
Oh, I love it.
yeah. Well, I think this is like a perfect moment to jump over to our next section. We are
Yeah.
approaching the hour mark. Did you have like a certain time limit? We can just do like maybe one news story each. I don't want to drag it on too much.
Yeah, I think one news story each is going to be pretty good. Mine might be pretty short because it's a little bit more surface level of a story, but it's something that I really thought I was super interested in. So
Yeah, let's talk about it.
yeah, so welcome to Positive Press. The
yeah,
story,
I forgot to. We're
You're chill, you're chill.
yeah. Talking about good news stories of the world.
Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to post the links to the articles in your chat or anything like that. I was just about to, but then I figured I should ask really quick about
You
that.
can, you can go ahead and put it in that thread. I was gonna make a little note at the end that all of the news stories that we mentioned, I was gonna put in the after the stream. I was gonna put in the
dope.
threads. So
Okay, cool.
yeah,
And
but
I'll
if you can,
I'll probably do that after the show, just so
Yeah.
so I don't have to worry about it right now or anything.
Yeah, and I'll take care of it too. So if it's the ones that you sent me, I'll take care of it. So
Yeah. All right. Well, my story is I was looking on that goodnewsnetwork.org that you posted about, and I really enjoy that website actually. Now I've been going on it daily to see if there's any like new update stories and everything like that. And it
yeah.
seems like they do pretty regular ones, whereas like some other places they'll do one like maybe a week or something like that. A feel
Yeah,
good Sunday.
one good news story a week.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, I want daily though. I want something that's like gonna keep me in a good positive mood.
Hmm.
But so the headline for this one was a century of tree planting stalls the warming effects in the eastern United States. And I won't read obviously the whole thing, but essentially what was happening is there's a lot of forests in eastern United States that they've been noticing, like scientists have been noticing and taking data from just like temperatures and soil and things like this. And then they noticed like for the past like decade or so, these forests have been around like 1.8 to 3.6 degrees Fahrenheit on the like land surface. So it's pretty
Hmm.
warm. Like it's relatively, um, or yeah, something like that. I don't really remember exactly. And then they've been growing a lot more trees in these forests, like really kind of expanding the forests around,
Hmm.
and the land itself has been cooling quite significantly over the past like maybe like 5 or so years, and they've been noticing like direct results from it. So
So the
they
plantation
plan,
prefers the cooler ground temperature.
yeah, essentially
Okay.
like it's been kind of helping with keeping the planet cooler in these areas and everything like that.
Yeah.
So they're hoping that it kind of will lead to like less wildfires, less just kind of generalized temperature and like help with like weather regulations in like the eastern United States.
Yeah.
Um, and they've been just like kind of taking this data for like the past like 20 years, and then since they started doing like this kind of reforestation um, kind of mindset, essentially they've just been planting a lot of trees, planting a lot of vegetation, planting a lot of grass,
Hmm.
and just kind of making things nice for the good old world and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah,
Because
making it greener.
especially I think, yeah, a little bit greener, especially because like from what I can tell, like it seems like with the expansion of like the industrial revolution and everything like that, a lot of forested areas, especially like in like the eastern United States and stuff like that, have been kind of taken away.
Yep.
Um, and so giving things back to the earth is just such a nice thing to hear about, because I've heard about it for basically my entire life. Over here in Oregon, there's a whole thing with deforestation economy where it's like they take down a tree for something, they need to plant like two new trees
Hmm.
essentially. So it's like a
I like that
cycle of
rule.
like kind of
That
being,
rule.
yeah,
Yeah.
like exponentially back to the earth, but you're still taking from it because we obviously need those resources to survive and live and everything.
Hmm.
So I've heard about that my entire life, and not really so much on like the other side of the world or even just on the other side of the United States. So hearing that and being like, oh, there's now a bigger effort to kind of make forestation and like give back to the earth. It's just super awesome to hear about. I'm a big conservatist myself, and I think nature and just anything about like nature and like Mother Earth herself is
Yeah.
up my alley completely. And so anytime I hear about people giving back to the earth, it's just a win in my book. It's just like an A+ for humanity. I'm like, thank you so much, because we only got one of her, and if she
Yeah. Yeah.
goes, she's gone.
That pale blue dot. I think Carl Sagan said in
Yeah,
that long thing. I couldn't recite the whole. I couldn't recite
yeah.
anything
Pale
besides
blue
the
dot
pale
is
blue
the
dot.
important bit that, yeah.
Yep. Well, no, yeah, that's one. Yeah, environmentalism and all that stuff. I think is wonderful. When I was living in Maine, and the city of Portland, they have a very strong environmental department within like the
Yeah.
city, and I was good friends with pretty much everybody that that worked in the environmental section, and
Hmm.
it was so wonderful seeing the agendas that they were trying to push just for a greener, just healthier environment and globe and
Hmm.
climate. And their big focus was climate. I think like their weekly magazine is like the One Climate Future, something like that. And it's Portland's on the coast, of Maine. A lot of the stuff had to do with like the sea life,
Oh
and
yeah.
and like the just keeping the health of the water, because there's a lot of like the oyster industry, the lobster industry, and
Yeah.
whatnot, and like the farms for them are something that take like a pretty heavy toll on the environment over there, and
Yeah.
depending on the way that you handle it, like because in some ways some of the farms I think are good and they were trying to preserve some of those,
Hmm.
uh, and then some of it's like depending on like the practice of how they're doing it, not so good.
Yeah.
But it's just always nice, like especially when you're seeing in your community just those small little pushes for a better planet,
Oh
a
yeah.
and a healthier planet. I I don't know what Florida's doing. I'm not too up to date on what they're doing down here. They just recently, a couple blocks over, took down this large section of trees, and me and my friends we were driving by it a couple weeks ago, and we were like, "Why are you getting rid of those trees there? What are you doing?" And granted, they added like I don't know what they're called, but it's like those just like you dig in the ground and then you fill it up with water. So maybe that was something that like we actually needed right there. I thought they were deforesting it for buildings and stuff, but all they did
Hmm.
was put just like a retention pond. Is that what I'm not sure.
That might be actually what it's called. My
Yeah.
first immediate thought was like, it's a well, right? That's just a
God.
hole with water in it.
Well,
I don't know.
it's pretty big. It's like the size of like a small pond or like a
Oh,
medium
okay.
sized pond.
Yeah, I think that might be a
So,
retention pod. Then I think
yeah,
that's what that's called. Yeah.
which I'm assuming is probably a good thing, at least compared to a building being
Yeah,
there.
it's typically used for like soil. I think like
Okay.
getting more nutrients into the soil around the area. So I
But
think
also,
it's typically a good thing.
yeah, but also down the road, we also have Amazon destroying lots of land to build a new warehouse,
Oh,
as well
oh
as all
yeah,
the as well as all the aerospace companies expanding their buildings. And anytime that I go out to the space center, I'm just new patch of trees gone and a new layer of dirt there, with a bunch of
yeah.
steel beams laying on the ground. So
That's
and
actually a good point because yeah, there's so many launches and aerospace launches in Florida specifically that it's just like,
hmm
oh, that makes sense that they would actually do that quite a bit. Which I'm not like super upset about, I guess, in a
no,
way, because it's
I'm a
like,
big supporter of the space industry and the aerospace
yeah,
industry, and so I'm like, if we're gonna get rid of it for something, I do like it's for the exploration of science, as long as that's actually
yeah.
what they're doing, because we definitely get a lot more from the aerospace industry than I think we realize.
Hmm.
Like I'm pretty sure like the sensors on our cameras and everything, like that was developed by NASA for some other, like I think it was
Oh
for the
yeah.
satellites and stuff.
Hmm.
And that's just like that's the most generic answer, but I know there's probably so much more we don't even like think about.
Did
uh
you actually see? I think it was this past week. The lander landing on the moon. This is like the
it's
first
like
time
it's
that
like a soft landing or something like that. I
yeah,
saw
it's like
that.
the first
hmm
time that anything's been sent to the moon since '76 or something like that. It's like
hmm
what? What do you
yeah,
mean? And it's like yeah, we haven't
yeah,
done anything forever.
I did see that. Could have been one of the launches here. I think there was a launch 2 days ago, and I think that's why my dog was barking the other night,
Hmm.
and I was just like, "What are you barking at?" um, but yeah, no, I'm a big supporter of the aerospace industry, so that's, I guess, if it's the deforestation for that, it makes you feel a little bit better about it.
It makes it yeah, it makes you feel a little bit better
But
about it.
but the
It's not
Amazon stuff,
fun, but it's like
I don't know. I do like my 1 day shipping, but at the same time, I do understand the cost of that.
yeah. I mean, that's kind of happening around here as well. There was a few, like about like an hour down south, Salem, the capital of Oregon, is they had a big old Amazon warehouse go in this giant like it was an open field, so like it wasn't really necessarily being used for anything, which was like okay, but now it's just like an eyesore because it's like right on a highway, and it's just
hmm
like I don't want to sit there and stare at that when I'm like going to work or anything like that. And it's, yeah.
Yeah. Oh damn, what was I gonna say? Well, I forgot. I did just off that topic alone. I watch a lot of videos about what it's like living in Europe, and especially like in like the Netherlands and
Hmm.
whatnot, and how like I like just for on the public transportation and the walking and biking is just a thousand times better experience over there,
Oh
but
yeah.
also the driving experience in terms of just traffic and aesthetic is so much better. Like here in the U.S., it's a common scene to be on the highway and it's car dealership, open field, car dealership, mall, car
Mm-hmm.
dealership, open field, and
Mm-hmm.
and then you get a big thing of trees, car dealership. and
Yeah.
so and so that's like the driving experience, at least on the highway. And then depending on where you live, if you live like in more of a remote area, yeah, you do see just like nice pretty houses, nice river, nice creek. But for the most part, at least down here in Florida, uh it's just uh shopping center, car dealership, shopping center. And that's even like on a normal, just a normal road. And
Yeah.
so it's just a lot. I feel like it's a lot of it's an eyesore, a lot of it.
Yeah.
But
There's
but
a
there
lot
is
of
but there is beauty
industrialization.
there. Yeah, but there's still a lot of beauty. Like even in like my drive to Orlando, it's just like lots of wetland, and
Mm-hmm.
it's very beautiful. You see all kinds of birds. Every once in a while, you got your average alligator holding up traffic and and
Ah, the
everything. And
alligator crossing.
yeah, and that's always nice to see. I don't like to see. I like to see like nature doing its thing. I don't like to see just an empty spot of dirt because you haven't finished your project that you started 2 years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but
true. If you're ever in the Pacific Northwest, specifically Oregon, we get those moments where it's just like a field, a car dealership, and then the next big thing or whatever. But I would say for the majority, it's actually really nice because it's like when you're going between like major cities, it's just like you're in the major city, there's a little bit of the outskirts city, and then it's just like farmland. There's
mm-hmm.
so much farmland in between like all of our cities, which is just like really, really nice, or just foresty areas. Because I think like a good portion of Western Oregon, kind of where I'm at, is just like part of like a national forest. So
Yeah.
they just like keep that preserved. There's not a lot of expansion that goes on, and it's just like really, really nice to have like these sort of like long stretches of just being like that's just all greenery.
Mm-hmm.
That's just lovely to look at. There's no like tall buildings, there's no like big industrialization.
It's no
Just
car dealership.
no car dealership. There's just people farming. That's all it
Yeah.
is.
That's what I loved about my drive from Virginia. Oh, just Virginia as a whole, but also just the drive from Virginia to Maine. And I
Mm-hmm.
also avoided highways with tolls. So
Oh
I
yeah.
got to see a lot of that back country and those back highways, and yeah, it was just so beautiful seeing on the mountains. I'm a big water person, like any kind of natural body
Mm.
of water, I fall in love with immediately. So crossing a
Yeah.
creek, I'm like, this is the best thing
A
ever. Like,
creek.
it's like 2 inches long, but I love it. That can be taken out of context, but
Oh, somebody
but
clip that. Somebody
no,
clip it.
minimum no, but
Get on it, minimum.
uh, but no, yeah, it's so pleasant just seeing the earth, seeing the planet, not seeing asphalt.
Yeah.
And I noticed this as you go more up north. For me, most again, all my experiences on the East Coast, but as you go more up north, it is more just woods, mountains, rivers, creeks,
Oh yeah.
vegetation, farms. A lot of farms, especially in Virginia. You got a lot of farms. Have you
Yeah.
ever heard of the Blue Ridge Parkway by chance? The Blue Ridge
I
Mountains.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Blue Ridge Mountains are a smaller part of the Appalachian Mountains, and
Mm-hmm.
going through the Blue Ridge Parkway that kind of goes through decent part of the Appalachian Mountains, the Blue Ridge Mountains. It's so beautiful. It's just so
Yeah.
beautiful, and you got these tall bridges that go over rivers, and I mean they're like 200, 300 foot drops, and it's just kind of mesmerizing to just take a gander at it all. And
Yeah. My old roommate who lives here in Portland now, he grew up in Virginia. I think he grew up in I want to say it was Port Royal, I think is what the city is called. I'm not really sure. Maybe Fort Royal, something like that. I don't remember.
if it's on the coast, I'm not too familiar. I know
Oh,
Norfolk
okay.
because that's where the Navy base is,
Okay.
and then Virginia Beach. But
Yeah.
okay, all right.
But yeah, he grew up in Virginia and he has always constantly been like he moved back there for a little while because he wanted to be with family, but then all of his family like moved out and moved away from each other, and he was just like,
We
"Well,
just
I'm
got
coming back
here.
to." He's like, "I'm coming back to Oregon because nobody else is here, and I've got a bunch of friends in Oregon, so I'm gonna go back over there." But he consistently always kept telling us like, if if we ever plan a trip to go to Virginia, he's like, I got places to show you all because it's just
Mm-hmm.
absolutely beautiful. And I'm just like,
Yeah,
yeah, please.
it's a very, very beautiful state. I remember going to Jamestown. The route that we took followed along the James River, and the
Hmm.
James River was like the first time I got to see like a really like heavy rapids, boulders all over the place, like kind of river. In
Hmm.
Roanoke, where I grew up, the Roanoke River, it's a big river, but it's like there's not parts where it's like rapids that like if you were to go in there you're done kind of
Oh
thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
There's not
yeah.
there's not too much of that in the Roanoke River, but in the James River there's a lot of that, where you see like extreme water rafting kind of stuff.
Oh
um
yeah.
and yeah, it's yeah, Virginia. If you're ever over here or over there, just if you see a random route, I would take it. Like if you're on
Yeah.
a drive and you're like, huh, route 66, yeah, I'm gonna go take that.
I'm gonna go down this one for a little bit.
Yeah. Um. Well, heck yeah. Do you mind if we jump into one of my articles here?
Yeah, bring it on.
Yeah, nice little nature talk. So this one still leans over to like the climate change and the environmentalism kind of discussion. It's from the Optimist Daily, and I'll kind of summarize it, even though it's a short article. But basically, it's talking about how the European Commission. I'll read the headline: The European Commission president christens world's first green shipping container. Uh, yeah, and so the thought process behind this is like, the world's like shipping industry, especially just when it comes to boats, is the emissions coming from boats is absolutely crazy, just in terms of the pollutants in the water and the pollutants in the
Mhm.
air that come out of the like
The
the
smokestacks or whatever they're called.
I wanted to say smokestack, but that just felt wrong for some reason.
I don't think that's
but I,
correct,
I
but
but
I mean, yeah.
I don't look at shipping container ships very much. So uh but I do know that that is like something that heavily impacts just the planet's climate and just the carbon emissions and the CO2 emissions in the world. But they're talking about this new green shipping container, and it has to do with this fuel. It's called renewable hydrogen,
Ooh.
and yeah, and it's still a greenhouse gas, but in
Hmm.
terms of how much greenhouse gas that it emits compared to what we're using now, it's 60% less.
Cool.
And yeah, and the president of the European Commission is just talking about how they've always kind of imagined I think it's like a zero emission, world trade transportation system.
Yeah.
And this is like, and though again this isn't zero emission, it's a step there, because the thought of it at all was just completely out of the question. Like, we're always going to need these boats, they're always going to be on these really heavy pollutant fossil fuels. But
Hmm.
this renewable hydrogen is kind of like a step in the right direction for that. And it doesn't come without its downsides. So it is highly combustible. And it's also, if I could try to find it, it's highly combustible. There's just this shipping. There's like shipping and handling concerns, and it requires very, very careful handling.
Hmm.
But again, it's a step in the right direction, and if they can iron out some of those shipping and safety concerns, it could be like a real step in helping us put less pollutants out there into the world. And I thought it was
Hmm.
just it was something that really wasn't on my, like, I never even thought that like that's something we'd really be fixing anytime soon, because I know it's kind of necessary to be shipping stuff across
Yeah.
oceans. And
Yeah.
so, but it's nice to see that there's people out there working to, like, yes, we know, like, a solar powered ship is probably something that we're just like, that's probably out of the way for a very long time, an electric powered ship that's carrying cargo like that. And
Yeah.
so it's nice that we can at least look to where maybe there's a future, maybe even the near future, where it's just maybe the shipping industry isn't the number one industry that's putting all these pollutants out there.
It's kind of interesting when you learn that fact too, that like the shipping industry is like the one that is like super bad,
Mm-hmm.
like technically. So the fact that like there is like a dedicated group of people trying to like work on that. Now, is it the ships that are running on the fuel, or is it the like what is that what it is? Like they're
Yeah,
running the
yeah,
ships on the fuel? Oh, okay, gotcha.
yeah.
I was just a
Mm-hmm.
little confused.
No, yeah. So no, like, I'm not sure what It's a green. So the green hydrogen it's a green methanol. It's a color. It's a. I'll just read the little part that goes over
Oh,
what
gotcha.
it's a green methanol. It's a colorless liquid created from low carbon sources such as hydrogen and
Hmm.
biomass. Uh, and yeah, it lowers the CO2 emissions by 60 to 95% when compared to
Oh,
the conventional fuels like gasoline and diesel that are currently what is being used. And so
yeah.
there's some crazy ranges. And so even though there's questions about the handling and the shipping, I'm sure
Hmm.
with enough research and time that that's something that could be handled, and that's kind of what they go over in the article. Uh, so yeah, just imagine the 100% pollution to now it's 5% of what was being emitted previously.
I mean,
That I mean
that is an
that's
absolute plus.
that is a crazy thing to think about, and hopefully that's something that's coming in the near future. I mean, even just one ship on that alone, I'm sure is amazing. But imagine if we can get all of our ships on that fuel, and that fuel does turn out to
So
be,
nice.
yeah, if that fuel does turn out to be like a real thing that's plausible, that I think that'd be wonderful.
That'd be so nice because it's like what I forgot what the actual percentage of it was, but like the oceans and the water, and like the algae and stuff like that that grows in the oceans. I think it
Hmm.
produces like what, like 75, 80% or something like that of like all oxygen for us.
Yeah,
So it's like if
it's
we
a
can
lot.
stop polluting those and have like a major impact on not polluting the ocean, that'd be fantastic.
And I
So this
know
is a
that
great step in the right direction. I love that.
yeah, and I know the talks about the coral reefs dying and stuff like that. You don't see that much in the headlines anymore, but it's still much a very
Yeah.
real issue. And I know that they're starting to. I know a lot of them have been healed since those were, in like it was the big headline thing. It's like our coral reefs are dying. I know a lot of them have been healed, but
Yeah.
it's still an issue. I don't think water pollution is even like, it's not out of the question of whether or not we've solved and fixed that yet. We
Yeah.
haven't, but it's nice to know that we're taking those steps in the right direction for sure.
Yeah, I think Japan also led like a good initiative for like protecting the coral reef since they're so
Mm-hmm.
close to Japan and everything like that. They have like a dedicated, not necessarily agency of like the government to like work on it, but like it's basically like the environmental protection agency essentially for them.
Yeah.
And it's like super nice to like see that there is actually an effort now
Mm-hmm.
rather than it there being basically no effort or little to no effort before. So
Yeah.
it's all steps in the right direction, and I do love that agencies and different commissions are actually working on these kind of things instead of just being like, "We'll work on it,
At some
maybe
point, maybe we'll
some
see.
point." Yeah,
Yeah, uh, and it's nice to know because like I'm sure there's like so much other background stuff that like you just can't find that's being done or being worked on, and I see a lot. It's like this hopelessness when people talk about environmentalism and just climate change and the planet. There's like this, well, if we can't solve it all, there's no point in solving it at all, and so
yeah,
people like, oh well, even though you're fixing the ship issues, what about the coal industry and the gasoline and the car industry and blah blah blah? It's like, well, if you're not gonna like, that's still like, and so like people they have this like doomsday where if it can't all be fixed, you shouldn't be fixing none of it. But
yeah,
I don't think like they're. I think they're too honed in on the final result, which is
yes,
no emissions at all.
hmm,
uh and but we're just not there. But I think it's so people overlook the small baby steps that it takes to get there, and again they have this helplessness about it. It's like, well, it's kind of like there's like a specific term for it where it's like, well, what about this issue and what about this issue, like, and putting precedence over one issue over the other. And I do think climate change and the earth is something that we should put above most problems, but in terms of breaking down climate change, uh, it has the smaller sections like the farming industry, the shipping industry, the manufacturing industry, and all that, and
hmm,
the and
hmm,
automobiles. And so
yeah,
it's nice to see something just highlight one of the smaller changes that we're trying to make. And
yeah. It's a logical fallacy that people have. I forgot which one it's called. I think it's like ad hocem. Maybe I'm not really
yeah,
too
yeah.
well versed in logical fallacies or anything, but it
Mm-hmm.
is that thing where it's just like everybody wants to see the final picture, but it's like to get to the final picture, it's going to be putting the smaller pieces together. It's like doing a
Mm-hmm.
jigsaw puzzle. It's like you can't
Yeah.
just put the whole thing down and just be like, "There's the picture. We did it.
And
Great job for us."
yeah, and sometimes you'll find a piece that you thought was supposed to go there. Then you have a set. You're like, oh no, that doesn't go there.
That one goes
Maybe
there.
maybe that's a piece of the wrong puzzle kind of thing. And that's a big thing with science. Is science allows itself to be wrong. And
Hmm.
there's plenty of cases throughout human history where we thought one thing was the solution when it turns out it was something bad. And that's the steps that you have to take in order to find a solution.
Yep.
That's the whole process of learning in the first place. And again, a lot of people are like, well, I'm sure that we'll find out one day that greenhouse or that green methanol is it's doing this to the planet, or it's doing this to our lungs or something. It's like, yes, but you're having this, again, this hopelessness. And again, there's a term for that mindset. I just can't remember it at the time. And
Yeah.
so I think that's a hurdle that a lot of people have to make. And yeah, so
It's I think it comes from it comes from a sense of hope, but also like it does mostly delve into like hopelessness. So like people want immediate results, but at the same time, we've been doing one particular way for so heckin' long that like that's the reason why we're there in the first place. And it's just like, well, it took us a while to get to like where it's bad now, and then like this has been millennia and eons of us polluting the entire world. So it's not just going to be a matter of like 20 years of us reverting it back. It's like, imagine if you had been like not working out for like 70 years, and then all of a sudden you're like, I should probably work out now that I'm like 70. It's like, and you try to get the results that you wanted from 70 years into like 5 years, and it's just not going to work. It's like
it's not realistic. Yeah.
You're going to have to put in the time for another 70 years, but I mean, we all know that you'll be dead.
Yeah, unless there's a big jump in medical technology in the next couple decades.
Yeah, if the life expectancy goes up, which it has technically gone up in the past like 100 years or so, but like not by much, I guess.
Yeah. Well, heck yeah, that was my article, and I think we're at a good stopping point here.
Yeah.
Yeah, these have been some lovely talks. I want to thank you for coming on the show and being my first guest.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Taking on that nerve-wracking mantle. I think it was more nerve-wracking for me than it was for you.
Yeah, I think surprisingly enough, Trap Talks from earlier in the week, I think has opened me up to the idea of being on camera just for podcasts and not just like video gaming, essentially. So this was nice. Thank you again, though, so much for having me.
Of course, and thank you for being on. It's been wonderful. I'm very glad. I'm just so like happy that we met. I talk about with like my mom and other people that I meet IRL that it's just the Jingle Jam, and the people that I've met coming out of that have just been like the most amazing group of people. And so no, I was so excited that you said yes. I was a little worried that you would say no.
I'm all for this. I need
I'm happy
this.
to have you on. Yeah, I need this.
I need this positivity, please.
And we needed you. I promise. So, so yeah. Again, I want to thank you so much. I want to thank everybody here that is watching. If you're here afterwards, because this is a live show. But if you're here afterwards, thank you so much for being here. I hope to put this on like Spotify and whatnot, on other podcast platforms. So
on all streaming platforms that you think of.
There you go. You have all streaming platforms.
Apple Music.
We'll work on an outro as the as the shows go on. But
welcome to PPS.
Welcome to PPS, if that's still the name by the
PPP.
PPP, the triple P. But yeah. So Tyler, where can people find you?
People can find me on Twitch. I stream here as well. I play a lot of video games, variety streamer, twitch.tv/titanium, TYTANIUM_TV. You can find me there. That's all also my social medias and everything like that. So if you just search around, you'll find me on Instagram, TikTok, whatever else you want.
Well, heck yeah.
No Twitter, though. I got rid of Twitter because I do not really I didn't use it before, so I was like, I'm just not using it. I'm just going to delete it.
Yeah, I try to have a presence on there in threads, but it was just never my platform to be on in the first place. So I
Yeah.
have a hard time. Just my thought doesn't even go to like posting anything on there. I have to like actively try to think about going there.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again, Tyler, Titanium, everybody for watching and listening. I appreciate you. Uh,
Yeah.
and yeah, I think we're gonna end things here. So
I hope you all have a good rest of your day.
indeed, and I hope it was a little positive impact on everybody. So yeah, I'll catch y'all later. Bye.